What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel Future Fight. So today I'm going to wrap up July sneak peeks number 2 and number 3 in the same video. Before we jump into that, do me a favor, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Almost 98% of you watching these videos got me in those view hours, but you gotta help me get to these subscribers so I can continue to bring you content at a higher level. So without further ado, let's jump into this. All right, so we've got the sneak peeks that we knew were coming basically before the weekend starts, and that's July sneak peek update for Jane Foster and Valkyrie. So we can see here, this is CM fragment of Marvel Future Fight. Only the worthy are allowed to wield its power. Mighty is the sword that befits the one who wields the Asgardian power of Mjolnir. So if we were to take a look at the video, and here there's a very interesting note just right here. If you're very keen-eyed, you can see the T3 sitting right there. Let me change this back to normal. Yeah, okay, cool. And it's a really cool preview. I love the pan up from her feet. You know, make sure that you catch that T3. Her costumes look amazing, better than Thor's in my opinion. And so that's a pretty cool sneak peek inside there for Thor Love and Thunder's Jane Foster. Obviously, we knew that she was going to probably get a T3. Thor's going to get his T4. Hers was a little more, you know, deceptive in there and where to find it, but we are getting T3 Jane Foster. Over on Twitter, there's not a whole lot more to be said inside here. They're just saying, you know, being mighty is her forte. Jane Foster is Thor, inspired by Marvel Studios. I know there's going to be a specific crowd of people who are going to still be pissed off about the fact that Jane Foster is Thor. And it's one of those things that's really interesting because it's like, it's a mantle, right? It's not the same thing like, you know, calling Steve Rogers. It is a mantle. You know, Thor's name is Thor Odinson, so it's, you know, she's just having the powers of Thor. And it was a very good run by Jason Aaron inside the comic books. I thought it was pretty well done. In the end, she ultimately becomes Valkyrie, or Valkyrie is what her name ends up being. If you've played Marvel's Avengers recently, they pushed her inside of the in the game as an Echo-like character, and you'll notice that she basically still wields Mjolnir, but in the end, Jane Foster ends up getting her own weapon. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it's like a little mace that she ends up wielding, and she basically takes on the title of Valkyrie. Now, will that be something that comes down the line? Possibly, quite possibly. So, other than her, we got the update for the July sneak peek for the baddies. Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie is basically in this update, and it says this is CM fragment of Marvel Future Fight. The King of New Asgard is back with her latest look. Great power is required to protect the Asgardians against new threats. We will announce more through the update details to come. Now, this line right here threw me a little bit, right? Because Valkyrie already has her awakening, right? So the only place for her to achieve greater power is either to go into a tier 3 or to go to tier 4. I doubt highly that we're going to see a tier 4 in Valkyrie. Doubt that. And I really feel awkward to say that I don't think that they've been trying to push basically Transcendence almost as like 2.5. So could we see a character go just simply from you know, Transcendence awakening to tier 3? Is that something that's possible, or are we just looking at classifying awakening characters on the same scale? I know we have some awakening characters that are, you know, beast in their own right, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. But let's take a look over here at the preview. This is a very interesting preview. I did try to play this one at really super slow speed to see if I could find a T3 anywhere in here. It's a very quick preview, like 6 seconds, and just flies by. There's a couple of things to pay attention to inside here. Number one, her costume. I love the fact that with this costume we've got a lot of detail inside of it. I really love her costume effect look inside here, except for the little forearms and biceps, the way they show in the shadow. But the amount of detail that they've paid to go and look at her hair and do it properly, kudos to them. The same thing with the face inside here. They didn't basically if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about, and let's not be obtuse about it. They did it with Storm. We all pissed off about it. They received some serious flack from it, and they had to go back and retrofit it so that way they could do it right. And you know what I'm talking about. Let's not act like it doesn't exist. But they did it with her here, and it's really cool that they, you know, they made sure to pay particular attention to some of the details in her face, and I think, you know, it pays off really, really well. Now, she looks really amazing, the character model overall. The uniform, I'm just ecstatic about that uniform. I'd buy that uniform even if it was shit, as long as she keeps her, So I kind of cycled through a lot of this to try to see, like, okay, was there a tier 3 in here? I wasn't able to find anything. So if anybody else is able to find anything, the best I could get is maybe this and something over here, but I don't think that's it. I really don't. I was really hoping to maybe see more. Now the next big thing is that we've got these models in here, and you I remember there being some monsters, some horror movie that I saw and I can't remember, but these monsters are the big thing in here. I doubt that, you know, they would generate these monsters simply for this preview. My thought is that these are going to be some type of new enemy type that we probably have inside the game. Will we see World Boss Legend Gore the God Butcher? Will we see a native tier 3 villain in Gore the God Butcher? I think a lot of people would be disappointed if not. At the very least, I think Gore the God Butcher needs to be a native tier 3 that's introduced into the game. Maybe they make a new legendary battle out of Thor Love and Thunder. I think that would be great if they did a new legendary battle, and we basically were able to work our way to Thor the God, but Gore the God Butcher as a native T3, you know, not in the vein of Molecule Man, because my dude is weak as hell, but somewhat in that area, because I think it would be really worthwhile that we get this. If we don't get Gore the God Butcher as a new character, at the very least, I think a lot of people will be upset, but my hope is that we see him inside here. So that's all that you really get inside the trailer for the character. Like, I've tried to play through it so many times to see if I could see any overt tier 3 information in here, and I just cannot find it. You know, like, there's some screenshots in here that look like they could be like tricks of it, you know, the light coming off and stuff like that. You know, nothing that I want to say is like absolutely definitive that I could be like, yeah, there it goes, you know, the T3 is there. But it'd be interesting. I think at the very least we should see her increase in power. Maybe if not a tier 4, that we at the very least see her get like a tier 3 or something like that, because she should reach new heights of power. But it's kind of weird because, like I said, we don't have any affirmative that, you know, tier 3 is above tier awakening characters, and by saying that, I think that you would upset a lot of the players, especially when there are some tier 3s that are just bomb ass inside this game. So over on Twitter, there's not a whole lot. It goes again, it says, inspired by Marvel Studios' Thor Love and Thunder, Valkyrie has improved her strength to defeat the darkness in Marvel Future Fights V820 update. I cannot imagine a costume providing that level of power. So I gotta imagine for the life of me that we're going to see something new with her that we haven't seen for some of the other characters. What it is, I don't know, but I'm hoping for the best. At the very least, I would love to see her get a tier 3. That would be the best to me, to kind of give us an alignment on the characters. Now, Thor Jane Foster, this is going to represent a power boost for her regardless, because her character is essentially Thor Jane Foster's character has had nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. Like, if you were to go inside Thor Jane Foster, I don't think she's had a uniform since the one that she was introduced with. So no matter what she gets inside of here, this is going to be a major boost for her. I still actually use this character. I actually like Jane Foster. I actually like her story with Thor. I actually didn't care about the fact that she took on the title of the Mighty Thor. And I actually liked the way they changed her up a little bit, so that way she was a better wielder of Mjolnir in terms of, you know, technical finesse than than Thor was himself. wasn't a bad thing to me at all, especially the way the story ended up playing out. It was pretty good. So she's gonna have this boost overall. I still use her in Shadowlands. I'm hoping that she just doesn't remain a Shadowlands character to me. I'm hoping that maybe there's some kind of playoff between her and Thor. Although I would really hate to see them kind of negate Thor's power in terms of like where he could be as a standalone character. He really needs to be a tier 4 that doesn't need other characters and can just literally beat down shit himself. And he needs to be a leader. I'm tired of not having a leadership level Thor ability inside the game. Like his leadership is terrible, you know. So we basically got nothing on her right now, so I'm hoping to see some of these changes as well, like Thunder Might. You can even see like Asgardian's Blessings increases lightning resist by 50. We should never see any kind of leadership that has resist to it. It's just terrible, right? Especially on the characters that's dealing lightning, like lightning resist critical damage. I'm hoping to see that these change and maybe they become more team oriented in that way. Now the alternative can be said for Valkyrie, and this is one of the reasons why I was really hoping that Valkyrie and Valkyrie, you know what I mean, I was really hoping that these characters were basically broken out, because we basically got Fearless Defender Valkyrie, and then we've got Marvel's Thor Ragnarok Valkyrie, right? And we know why we have that, because it was different characters inside the MCU and the TV show. But I think it puts an interesting push in there. Like, this character is so important inside the comic books and her representation that I don't feel like that the MCU movie should essentially be merged into the same character. The same way Gwenpool has her 2 different versions and stuff like that. I think they should do something in that regard for Valkyrie. But now, Valkyrie has always been a quintessential character in the game for us, because everybody uses her. So she's a awakening that you should literally pushing to, simply because of her passive ability. Now, if you look at Shield Maiden of Asgard, she's always been able to apply all allies ignore targets dodge rate by 30, and you get the 50-25 supervillain damage reduction and damage dealt. So she's always going to probably be one of those characters that you essentially want to use. So it's going to be really, I think any uniform for her would be important. But like, again, I want to see her get a tier 3 at the very least and give it a major push in tier 3. I understand what that means, but I would really like to see that, and, you know, make her more interested. Like this passive right here, when bleed skill is used, applies 15% of recovery of max HP increase. Oh, that's good in a sense, but bleed is just such a terrible skill. So I'd like to see some improvement overall for the character other than just a uniform. But that's what we got going on inside this update. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with Gore the God Butcher, and I hope they don't do the Samuel Jackson effect on the uniforms. And if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Like, this is obviously the better of the uniforms, but this is the better looking of the uniforms. So I hope they don't do something like that inside there. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As I said before, please like and subscribe to the channel. There's so many of you guys viewing the content every week, you know, when I create things, but there's not enough of you subscribing, and I'd really like to push the channel forward in the year to come. So let's get those likes and subscribe. Let's get those likes and subscribes up, guys. Hit that subscription button. Until next time, peace.